Hello guys, it's me Nasmus and welcome to another Nasmus Labs video where I talk about technology, gaming, rapid transit, how-tos, and a lot more. And today we're going to talk about the Xbox One S versus the PS4 Slim. So if you guys like the content, make sure to hit a like and subscribe for more coming your way. Now, so should you get the Xbox One S or the PS4 Slim? Well, that's a tough question, is it? Well, let me tell you something. Before I get started, I'll tell you something. I was an Xbox One fan from the beginning, but I always knew that PS4 resonated with the gamers a lot more because in the beginning Microsoft made a lot of mistakes, a lot of obvious mistakes they should not have made that brought Sony to the top, and Sony made a huge pitch that they're for the gamers. Well, I think since then, after Sony has been selling twice as much as PS4s than the Xbox One S, PS4s versus the Xbox One, I think Sony has gotten a little bit arrogant, a little more over the. I think they think they can coast and ride their victory, whereas Microsoft has been improving the Xbox One significantly since launch. Sony did have a few updates. They brought new features to the PlayStation, such as a media player with it, like the ability to play media files from USB drives, I believe. But the Xbox has made a much more grander, much more significant bunch of improvements that were unthinkable with Xbox One launched. The biggest one being is the backwards compatibility. When both 8th gen consoles launched, the PS4 and the Xbox One, they both had no guarantee, or in fact they said there is no at all, no backwards compatibility for 7th generation console games. So PS4 couldn't play PS3 games and Xbox One couldn't play Xbox 360 games. There was no hope of getting it working either, because those 7th gen consoles are really powerful and they have a totally different CPU architecture, processor architecture, that makes it really hard to emulate with the power of an 8th gen console. So we didn't even think that a backwards compatibility solution would have been possible. The closest we've gotten to a potential backwards compatibility was through streaming. But the engineers in Microsoft has actually proven themselves very, very intelligent, very talented when they figured out how to emulate the entire Xbox 360 console with its power PC architecture, and made it possible to run Xbox 360 games on top of Xbox One at no additional processing equipment, or no additional add-ons, or no additional cost to the user. In fact, if you had an Xbox 360 game, either as a disk space or through a digital purchase, you could play it no questions asked on the Xbox One. Just download and go, right? So it's very simple, very similar. It is amazing. It works perfectly. I was surprised myself when I saw the Xbox 360 being emulated on the Xbox One. Okay, so we got that out of the way. Now, what did Sony do on the other hand? The Sony PS3 was built based on the Cell architecture. The Cell CPU is a lot harder to emulate than the PowerPC of the Xbox 360. So I don't blame Sony for not being able to emulate or provide native backwards compatibility on the PS4. However, Sony, unlike Microsoft, is requiring people. Let me get back to that. Sony is providing a way for people to play PS2 and PS3 games on their PS4 through a service called PlayStation Now. Now, unlike Microsoft, and I think this is where Sony is being customer unfriendly, they are requiring you to pay again for games you have already owned on the PS2 and PS3. There's no way to authenticate that you own a game, so you don't have to pay again. Now, I understand there's arguments on both sides. One is that you're paying for a game you already own. The other side of the argument, which is completely valid, is, well, you paid for a game for a specific console knowing that there was no guarantee that the game you bought would work on something else. So when you bought that game, you went in with the expectations, and the company delivered. Anything more you get is actually bonus, right? And also understand that streaming service costs money. I mean, the company has to provide servers, they have to run the games, they have to deliver it to you in a good bandwidth. So this costs money. So if you paid like I don't know, $40 to $60 on a game one time, and you expect Sony to provide you with the service for years down the line, I mean, at some point it's not cost effective, right? You're getting an additional service from Sony, and you pay for it, right? So I see arguments on both sides. Okay, so again, but I'm saying that Xbox One got a huge feature since the launch of Xbox One, right? And other features include the new Xbox experience, Cortana, voice assistant, and better UI from part of the new Xbox experience. Universal apps. Now you could have like any type of apps you want, including emulators. So that's pretty cool. There's an N64 emulator. But yeah, these are things that have been made on the Xbox One. And now, I will say the Xbox One S solves a lot of the Xbox One's size problems. The Xbox One, one of the big problems for the original Xbox was that original Xbox One was that it was big, right? So it was big. It was it took up a lot of space, looked bulky. Well, the Xbox One S, the new version, is much smaller. They say Microsoft says 40% smaller, and there's an internal power supply, whereas the original Xbox One had an external huge power supply. So a lot of space saving. So, and it also looks nicer. Most people agree. I mean, there's some people who like the original Xbox One, but a lot of people agree that the Xbox One X looks nicer. So you'll have a better looking console. I'm not saying better looking than PS4, but at least better looking than the original Xbox One. So you have that, and also it has a UHD Ultra HD 4K Blu-ray player. And to buy a Blu-ray player, like if you want to buy a Ultra HD Blu-ray player, right now, you have to pay close to what you pay for an Xbox One S. So by buying an Xbox One S, you get an Ultra HD Blu-ray player, which are really expensive at this moment, and you get a fully fledged game console with hundreds of Xbox 360 compatible games. That is amazing. So you get an Xbox 360, Xbox One, you get an Ultra HD Blu-ray player, and you get a 4K streaming box. And there's some upgrades from the original Xbox One. You get a little bit of faster processor, so that it may be a little bit less better frame rates in some games, but don't expect it. I mean, if one game ran, I don't know, at 28 frames per second, another game would run 30 frames per second. And for some games, right? So maybe one game went to 900p when one day game scaled down from 1080 to 900p for a second. But say that doesn't happen in that scene in the Xbox One S. But but it's gonna be minor. But you do get upgrades such as HDR and 4K streaming, like I said. HDR for gaming, that is. So you get HDR gaming. New games have to support it, but they will get updated, and you get that feature on the Xbox One S. Now, PlayStation 4 Slim. Okay, let's talk about that. I personally see no reason to get a PlayStation 4 Slim, actually. I mean, it is smaller, but the PS4, well, it was bigger from the PS3, I think bigger than the PS3. I think the PlayStation 4 was a pretty good looking console. I mean, it was a smaller console than the Xbox One. I think it's the size of an Xbox One S, give or take. So it was a nice looking console. It looked good. It was smaller, and there is like on the PlayStation 4 Slim, there's nothing new on it, right? I mean, there's the only thing that's different from PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 4 Slim is that it's a little smaller. And I think it looks uglier. I think the original PlayStation 4 looks a lot better than the PS4 Slim. I honestly do. And I think if you could get a original PlayStation 4 at a lower price than the PS4 Slim, I definitely would go with the original PlayStation 4, because you're literally getting nothing with the PS4 Slim. And even the HDR functionality, PS4 did something better than the Microsoft's Xbox One here. They said they're bringing HDR to older original PS4 consoles. So even if you want HDR, you don't even need to upgrade. So now we haven't had many comparisons of how HDR looks and works compared to the Xbox One versus PS4. But I think I can't wait to see tests showing how HDR looks on the PS4 versus the Xbox One S. So until we do that, I can't say much about that. However, I think that there's several options. If you have a PS4, there is excuse me, there is absolutely no reason to get a PS4 Slim. Now, if you have an Xbox One, the original Xbox One, there is no reason to get an Xbox One S unless you have a 4K TV and you want HDR. I suggest if you could sell the original Xbox One at a good price. Yeah, I see reasons to get an Xbox One S for a UHD Blu-ray player. Also, if maybe you have an Xbox One S, maybe you're thinking of buying a UHD Blu-ray player. Maybe you have an original Xbox One and maybe you want to think about buying a UHD Blu-ray player. Well, in that case, you could just buy an Xbox One S, right? Maybe give your original Xbox One to a friend or family, or maybe sell it down the road. Or, I don't know. So maybe have one in another room. I don't know. So, but again, I see reasons to get an Xbox One S even if you have an original Xbox One, though the scenarios are limited here. But on the PS4 side, I see absolutely no reason to get a PS4 Slim. In fact, even if you don't even have it, even if you don't own a PS4, if you can find a PS4 for a better price, original PS4, or if you find a clearance, or if you find a bundle for the original PS4 versus the new PS4 Slim, I suggest go for the original PS4. Even I think, even if the prices are the same, I personally think the original PS4 looks better. That's just my opinion. I mean, you can look it up and Google the pictures, but I think I'd go to the original PS4. Now, here's a trick question: if you don't have either consoles, what should you get? Should you get an Xbox One S or the PS4? Now, question is, do you have an Xbox 360? If you have a investment on Xbox 360 games, I highly recommend going to Xbox One because you get to keep bringing over games forward. But if you don't have an Xbox 360, or if you don't care about bringing your games forward, or if you have PS3s, now it becomes a question of what games you want to play. Now, unless you want to play some Sony exclusive games, I would say go for the Xbox One S. There's various reasons for that. One, I love the Xbox, so I'm letting you know that I'm an Xbox fan, but I'm not a fanboy in that I will not. It's not that I won't criticize Microsoft for doing the wrong thing or doing wrong by its customers. I'm just saying I personally prefer an Xbox One for legitimate reasons. But here's why I think you should go for the Xbox One if you don't care much about the exclusive games that Sony offer. And the reason is simple, is because if you don't care about the exclusive games, most of the most if not all non-exclusive, most third-party games work on both PS4 and Xbox One. So if you don't care about the Sony exclusive games, you're not missing anything else. But the benefit you get here is you get the UHD Blu-ray player. You're future-proofing on that, as well as you get new features like backwards compatibility, so you have the ability to play older games if you want to buy it in the future. So like the backwards compatibility is not only for people who are used to own previous games, it's also for people who wants to buy old games and to play on their new console. So if you want to play something like Bejeweled 3 or something, Portal 2 on your console, the Xbox One is the way to go. Also, Microsoft has a program called Xbox Play Anywhere. You could buy a game on your Xbox One and own it as well on PC. So stuff like this makes Xbox a better option if you don't care about the PlayStation exclusive. And now, people might be thinking about PSVR. I would wait for that. I want to see reviews. If you want to wait, I would wait. If you want to see, look at the reviews. If the PS4 VR games or PSVR games are worth it, or the reviews are good and you're interested, then I think going for the PS4. But I don't think the PS4 VR will be a success for now. We'll talk about that more when you talk about the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One Scorpio. But for now, I'd say I would get for the Xbox One S, unless you have exclusive that you care about, for Sony exclusives like Uncharted or something. So yeah, so there's my reasons. Take it how you will. So yeah, if you have any questions or comments, what do you think? Let me know. Let me know down in the comments down below. I'll definitely take a look at what you have to say. So if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe. Really appreciate it. And yeah, I'll have more videos coming your way. Many of them are gaming. Some of them are many of them are technology. Some of them are transit videos, specifically rapid transit vehicles. And I'll have education contents as well. So if you like any of these type of content, make sure to subscribe so you get notified when I have new content. Alright guys, thank you for watching, and have a good one.